Three, two, one. Welcome to Jim's Take, episode 136. We're doing a special one off the regular routine of Wednesdays because it's political season and everybody wants to know, how can I have a political conversation at work? So let's get into it. This is following up. I recently wrote an article for Built In on how to navigate political conversations at work. Check it out, builtin.com. But you can only put so much when you write an article. And so I think there's more to it. This is such a contentious time for this final week leading up to this big 2024 election. And I normally stay away from politics. I always stay away from politics because there's just I don't have faith that people can have a realistic political conversation without their emotions overtaking them and this massive desire to prove other people wrong. And so you just kind of smile and nod. And I'm tired of smiling and nodding for all these people on the right and the left about how right they are and how wrong the other people are and all this other BS. And I think a lot of people are in the same kind of position with me. And so here's how to navigate it when you're at the office. It's an interesting conundrum. I did a while back, I did one on politics in the C-suite and should the C-suite get involved in talking about politics. And that was within a different type of context. It was after George Floyd. It was about how quickly politicians would come out and talk about injustice. And I think there was a lot of validity to them saying it. The real logical next question was, do you have the stomach to follow up on what it is that you're looking to promise? So the question back then is, should you wade into politics? Because whatever you say, you're going to have to follow it up. It's not enough to just have talking points. Are you actually willing to take the steps to do that? And so now this is more of a broader one. I mean, that's a specific injustice-focused conversation, valid. And I think when anybody sees injustice, it needs to be addressed and fixed and taken care of. So that was one. I don't want that's different than what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about this ideological, hypothetical, theoretical vision on where the country is going to go, and everybody seems to be an expert. And so how do you navigate these conversations on theory versus what's actually going to happen? And the times are changing, right? There's misinformation and disinformation and this active manipulation of people and their emotions. And so how do you navigate that in the workplace? The times are changing. Information is coming so quick. There's this higher expectation, and I'm talking about this from an executive standpoint, a higher expectations for employees to say, you need to have our back for us to work here. But there's also, how do you make the appropriate and right commentary for your business to protect the business and their people and their company's values and all of these things? And what's the difference between a personal view versus a business view? And we're seeing a lot of this come up, right? The Washington Post not putting out an editorial, losing 250,000 subscribers. There's a debate now. Are they doing it because they're afraid of repercussions, or are they doing it because they actually believe what they wrote? And you're dealing with this kind of, people have this belief and judgment and assumption on what you're going to do or what you have done, that you really are in no position to win. For people working within the office, everyone needs to have their personal brand. There is a conflict. There's no way to make everybody happy. And so the personal views of people that make up and represent the company, how do you accommodate that into the political stand that a business or an individual within the business is going to have? Often this is no big deal. But now, every 4 years, this emotional challenges of destroying relationships within an organization. People won't work with other people. And it's very difficult to have these conversations on philosophy, economic theory, social justice. It's overwhelming to people because, honestly, most people have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They're just repeating what they hear from a Fox News or an MSNBC. There is no critical thinking. There's no pause to say, I actually believe this. Again, moving so quickly, give me the nugget that I need and I'm going to move forward. And there's a lot of psychological theories in this. Confirmation bias. I heard something that I actually believe, so it must be true. I forget what it's called, but you prove somebody wrong and they actually believe what they believed even more, even after you've given them all the logic to prove that. And so it used to be we just didn't talk about politics. And I think it's because, in the workplace, because it was in its own kind of world, right? 20 years ago, you read the newspaper and then you went off throughout your day. But now we're in information overload. Everyone's got a voice. Everyone's got this opinion. Everyone's got this, and this 24-hour news cycle, which is now like not even 24 hours, it's every second news cycle. You're being inundated with lies and headline grabbers and all this stuff to change your perception on what it's going to be. So here's what I would say. A few tips on how to navigate this. And if you can't tell, I just got fired up a little bit. I hate it, right? The amount of people I just want to just smack across the face saying you're not a thinker in any kind of realistic way. I'm frustrated with the entire political process. I'm frustrated with everybody just screaming and shouting and getting angry about how other people just can't see it my way, which of course is the right way. And all the signs and flags that are up, like what are you trying to do? I just don't understand it. And so here are the questions. I always pose questions, right? I don't want to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, even though I am a little bit. Don't talk about it and just shut up and go away. But I will give you questions. And if you have valid answers to these questions, then continue. Please do whatever it is you're going to do. I just choose not to engage in it. I don't like it. And it's not so much judging people on their political views. It's judging people. My judgment is around that you think you're going to change someone's mind by spouting off all of this stuff to me. And that's my judgment of you and your psychological state and all of that kind of stuff. So if you watch a certain news channel, I have significant judgment of you as well. But that's different. So, but again, I'm not getting involved. So here we go. 3 points I want to make. Number one, if you are engaging in political discourse at work or anywhere, really, what is it you're looking to accomplish by sharing your political views? That's my question. When you put a sign out on your front lawn, this is a sincere question. Hang the flag from your house, put the bumper sticker on your car. What are you looking to accomplish by doing so? I have my opinion on it. But, I'm interested in I'm going to give you a moment to say, here's what I want to accomplish. Some people might say, I'm looking to change someone's mind. I want everyone to see how rallied we are as a supporter of X politician. I want everyone to know. Okay, fine, great. Here's what I would argue. I would argue that people want to accomplish something by putting all of this stuff out there to judge other people, which is something that I find it massively hypocritical, and I find it completely obnoxious that we are extremely vocal in our political views so that we can be judgmental and dismissive of the people who disagree with us. And I find that to be awful as a human being. It makes you awful as a human being because it's not about to convince someone something else. It's about to judge other people. And when it comes from a place of judgment, for the purpose of dismissing or judging or excluding someone else, it is the exact opposite of a fruitful political discussion. Okay, and I'm going to blame the political world on this. Politics operates on a level of emotion, and I'm going to tell you why, not logic. And so you emotionally believe in your political party or whatever it is that they're promoting, but you try to use logic to disprove somebody else. But you don't use the logic on yourself. And here's what I mean by it's an emotional game. There are like 7 core emotions that we have in life. I probably won't be able to do it. Joy, sadness, fear, anger, hope is one, disgust is one. Whatever. But those are like core emotions that we have. And if you look back over the political campaigns that have happened, they are all tapping into one core emotion to get you to be motivated to do something that you want to do, right? I mean, Barack Obama's slogan was hope, core emotion. Donald Trump, very much on fear and anger, right? We're afraid of the immigrants and we're angry at our political situation. So they're tying into these different, Kamala Harris, going back to the hope one, because again, you're limited in terms of what these 7 are going to be. And they lean into those emotions so that people will say, all right, that resonates with me and it's important to me. And this is what I'm going to respond to. And so it's an emotional game. And when we're looking at emotion, when we're filtered with so much information coming through us, we do this with people as well, right? And we use this to judge and say, you're not important enough to me. You are, because you agree with what I am. And I'm finding this place of comfort. And this is where I want to be. I'm incredibly insecure. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid of what's happening in the world. And so I want to lean into hope, or I want to lean into anger. I want to lean into this. I want to lean into that, whatever it is. And that's the emotional game. That's the political game that's happening. And that's how people will try to do that. Now, when it manifests in a one-on-one conversation, it's less strategic because people don't know that they're being played. And they're spouting off all this information to try and prove their emotions right, when in actuality, it's just a belief in an emotion. And it can't be right. Okay? What I've said before, beliefs and truths, knowing something and believing something, you cannot know something and believe something at the same time. Okay? It's an impossibility by definition. So most of the things that we think are facts and truths are actually beliefs. And we have to be open to the fact that we're going to be wrong. Okay, so that's that. So what are you looking to accomplish by sharing your political views? I'd argue it comes from a place of judgment and insecurity. Number 2, are you expressing your personal views? Or are these, and this is more for leadership, I guess, but are these the views of the business, and are they aligned? They may not be. Our business is people. Right? The Republicans argued that they were so that they could donate to campaigns in a different kind of way, and they won that debate. So maybe businesses are people, but sometimes a business can make an intentional decision to invest in certain types of areas, or embrace certain types of behaviors, or do whatever it is, and that becomes part of a business's persona, right? And every business has a persona. There's validity to that. DE&I is a perfect example. A lot of companies leaned into DE&I, especially after George Floyd, and made the investment in an equitable workplace and all of those things. The research is there that shows that it's really good for revenue if it's done properly. A lot of places just did it to fill in a hole and set those people up for success, and it didn't quite work. And so, they've pointed to the people, detractors from DE&I have pointed to where it's failed. And I would say it's because it hasn't been set up properly. But there's validity to it. So does your business have a political view? And do you as a person have your political view? Are you a spokesperson for that business? And where are those two aligned? That's a very difficult conversation to figure out. Okay? That's number 2. That was more of a thing you have to do, not necessarily a question. And 3, and this one I'm going to go harder on, we're driven by emotions versus logic. And so how do you adopt a lens of validity? We have, I just talked about the politics and the emotions and everything else. We have this strong, massive desire to prove people wrong. And I would argue it's an exercise in insecurity. We put other people down so that we can think we've raised ourselves up. But rather than do the work to raise ourselves and elevate ourselves, right, we're just going to push them down so that you don't actually have to do it. It's easier to put people down. When you think about it in work and you're sitting around and someone's got an idea and they say, Steve, what do you think about that? And Steve's like, it's not going to work. And he's dismissed it because he doesn't want to think about the work he's going to have to do. By putting it down, he's trying to position himself as this kind of elevated thinker, when in actuality, you're just kind of a lazy non-entity who's not actually being a productive member of society. So, and what's funny about this, putting other people down so you think you can look good, nobody sees you as looking good. Okay? Nobody sees you as looking good. You look just like you feel in that moment, insecure. Okay? Now you think you've got this false sense of confidence, you've got this false arrogance that exists there. And what's so funny about this, the people on the left will blame the people on the right, the people on the right will blame the people on the left, but everybody does it. Right? I have never seen, and I probably just haven't paid attention, the amount of vitriol coming from podiums that are supposed to be leaders of this country has been an embarrassment. And it started, the conversations I had more on an international level with my clients overseas, it's an embarrassment for us as individuals. And it's fascinating how the right will blame the left for it and the left will blame the right for it. I have a theory on where it began. I have a belief on where it began. It will be my own personal belief. I'm not going to say it. But it's devolved into something that's not productive. And so, how do we create this lens of validity? Because we've got this, we're entering this world of politics, which is a world of judgment. It's a world of assumption. It's a world of dismissiveness and exclusion about how other people aren't like us, so they shouldn't be included in this conversation because they're so wrong. How do we open up to a legitimate question? And remember, the definition of a question is a request for information where you legitimately do not know the answer. So otherwise it's a judgmental statement. It's no question about, well, they're a Democrat, so they must be thinking this, so let me ask it this way. Or they're a Republican, I'm going to ask it this way. No. It's a legitimate, wide open question. If there is a tone of judgment in the question, it is not a question. If there is a tone of assumption, then it is not a question. And so how do we put a lens of validity around, let me ask this question about why this person might believe something that I don't actually believe? Right? And it opens up a full thing if you want to get into that type of conversation. If you don't, then just shut the hell up about it. Right? Again, go back to what are you looking to accomplish with sharing your political views? So if you think through these three types of questions, I'm willing to argue you don't have a really good answer as to why you should be talking about and yapping your jaw about your politics at work or really anywhere else. Man, it's frustrating. This wasn't really from the place of love that I thought it was going to come. I was trying to make it helpful, but I think it's valid. I think a lot of people are frustrated with the political discourse and everything that's going on and just I've turned off the news. I've turned off the social media. I've turned off everything. And I still get phone calls from people who are just saying, hey, just check it up. Hey, did you see what this politics? I'm like, shut up. Leave it alone, man. One, because I can see through their judgment. Two, I think they're wrong. But I don't want to get into that kind of thing, man. Just leave it alone. And I pray that we could just accelerate. I'll give up a week of my life just to get us past this election. So anyway, navigating things at work, don't. Elevate above. Live above it, right? It's like when I was in ayahuasca fighting demons at the gates of hell, and love brought me up. Demons can't access when you live at this elevated place of love, and embrace that. So there is a lot to be done, and we'll see where the world goes. But at the end of the day, you still have neighbors. At the end of the day, you still have family. At the end of the day, you still have friends, and you have to interact with these people beyond where it is. Keeping your cards close to your vest is helpful in saving your relationships. So do it. Smile, nod, and you just let it go. And then change the discussion. Do you know why grapefruits are called grapefruits? And if you don't know that answer, Google it. I found it pretty interesting. Do you know how water towers work? Oh, interesting. Okay, great. There's plenty of stuff that you could talk about besides politics. Divert the conversation that way. Have some fun with it. Have a wonderful week. Good luck with politics in this lovely and wonderful country. May God bless America and God bless you. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye.